we say cool down, maybe not ice, but this is a cool shot here as you're looking at the Walker Theater there, downtown Indianapolis. And we are going to have another hot day, but like just hold on for one more day when we finally have a little bit of a break. That heat and humidity. We got to prepare you for the weather you're going to step out into today.
That's right. When it gets here, you'll know that cooler weather, but that's not today. But at least we are not seeing the rain showers that we had, and some of them pretty heavy this time yesterday morning when a lot of people were making their drive into maybe their first day of school or into work. So we do have that coming for you. But today, Matt, talking about how we really have to get through another heat and humid filled day.
Yeah, but for some kids, you know, you want just one more really good summer day.
Exactly.
Right? Make sure that you keep the water going. It's going to be extra hot, but if you need a summery day, today's your day before the front arrives. But I think a lot of folks are excited.
The last hurrah, if it's your last day before school.
Maybe convince mom or dad to, you know, maybe you get to choose the itinerary today, the schedule today. We always kind of did that. What do you want to do on the last day of summer break? Today is that day. Weather should not be a concern other than it's going to be hot. It's summer, but it will be a little extra hot today. That's why we have that weather impact alert. But we're not starting off with the downpours like we had yesterday. So you don't have to worry about scattered rain and thunderstorms, at least for the morning. We're looking pretty good. But this is a map showing you where we picked up the heaviest rain. You can see the bullseye there from Monrovia and Mooresville eastbound right over Bargersville into the Greenwood area. A lot of parts of central Johnson County, even north to Southport, we picked up a lot of rain. Now we brought in a lot of rainfall totals, kind of splitting them too, and we still can't hit everyone. But I'm starting with areas near Indianapolis. Southport, one of the highest totals in the state, over 2 inches. Greenwood, about 1.5 inches. New Palestine, just over a half inch, about a half inch in McCordsville. Zionsville, Carmel, not as much, but just enough to kind of wet the ground at times. In Indianapolis International, just enough to kind of wet the tarmac there. Now let's take you outside of Indianapolis, because we had a lot of rainfall totals outside as well. In fact, we had a triple kind of tie there in Anderson, Bedford, and Connorsville, just under a half inch. But Rushville was one of the highest totals as well, over 1 inch of rain there in central Rush County. This morning, we're not worried about the rain, but it is a little bit warmer and more humid out there this morning. You notice it too. We're looking at the dew points. It's 75. That's pretty sticky out in Indianapolis. And with that extra humidity, we do have some patchy fog that we're tracking as well, especially in kind of eastern and southeastern Indiana. Coming up, there's a front that's on the way. This is the one we've been talking about. If you're waiting for some more cooler and just refreshing air, it's on the way. Coming up, we're going to time it out. We're going to let you know when you're going to get some storms and when the temperatures will drop. All right, so let's talk about traffic this morning. Our biggest slowdown remains to be I-65 in the northbound direction as we go from 2 to 1 lane there just past East Raymond Street coming into the south split. So you can see the red definitely now popping up, but past East Raymond Street and coming up, you go down to that 1 lane at the south split, especially if you want to continue on I-65 north. Plus, you don't see the police cruiser. It's a little bit hard to see. It's a little bit back behind, but you can kind of see the reflection of some of the lights there along the guardrail, especially here on the right. But we do have a semi and a vehicle they got their hazards on. Not sure if there was a crash or some sort of accident. There's still the lane open, but it's only 1 lane open coming in from the south. So these headlights are headed north into downtown. It remains slow. Julia?
All right, thank you, Matt. We have some more confirmed information this morning on that mass shooting that we've been covering on the Far East Side.
We now know the ages of those 5 victims in this shooting, and the youngest, police tell us, just 10 years old. And one of the victims is in critical condition still this morning.
4 individuals were inside of a vehicle, and 1 individual was outside of a vehicle, and an exchange of gunfire occurred. For some reason, some type of disturbance occurred. We don't know what the background of that is.
And this is the second shooting with multiple victims like this in Indianapolis just this month. During the 4th of July holiday weekend, 2 teens were killed and 5 others hurt after that shooting in downtown Indy. So right now there is a growing effort to keep kids from picking up guns. Messiah Benton is one of the young people that's a mentor with a group called Young Men Incorporated, and he unfortunately knows the effects of gun violence at such a young age.
When it comes to kids, they should still be in a stage of playing with, toys and still playing with, drawing with crayons and stuff. It shouldn't be a thing of guns or anything close to that. That shouldn't be a part of their life.
Well, so far this year, IMPD says that they've identified 38 juveniles involved in non-deadly shootings.
Well, in just a few hours, the jury trial for a man accused of killing 3 people in Lawrence last year will continue.
Opening statements were read in the murder trial of 24-year-old Malik Shaw. He is charged with shooting and killing 19-year-old London Coleman, 19-year-old Aaliyah Wortman, and 27-year-old Spencer Lawson. This is video from the scene at Jamestown apartment community. It's where a maintenance man says he heard the shots and chased 2 suspects, shooting at them with his own gun.
Police have not identified that second suspect yet, but day 2 again of that trial begins today at 9 o'clock. Our Rich and I will be there and have more later today on 13 News.
Here's an update in the courtroom this morning. The man accused of stalking Caitlin Clark, we've learned, will spend the next 1.5 years in prison.
55-year-old Michael Lewis pleaded guilty to stalking and harassment charges, but not before being scolded by the judge.
I think that you cannot help yourself until you get help. If they told you to stay away and told you not to go to Gamebridge Fieldhouse, you didn't listen. And they told you to stop sending messages, you didn't listen.
So Judge Angela Davis there did have to stop the proceedings often to correct Lewis's courtroom behavior, apparently. He made comments about wanting to keep Caitlin Clark safe, but also went on to prophesize that the end of the world was coming.
Yeah, the judge ordered Lewis not to use the internet while he's serving his sentence and recommended some mental health treatment for him as well.
Well, a mother is now facing charges accused in the death of her child during a fire in Rush County. That fire in Arlington happened at the beginning of June, killing 7-year-old David Bowers Jr. The Rush County Sheriff says the mother, Kirsten Bowers, told them she fell asleep in bed with a cigarette and woke up to the fire and tried to get the kids out. But investigators say a timeline, which includes surveillance video, shows Bowers left the house and had walked several blocks away during the suspected time of the fire, leaving all 4 children home alone. She faces neglect charges. Well, right now, there is an ongoing debate on how to solve what really seems like a homeless crisis from growing here in Indianapolis.
So just last week, we told you about concerned residents that were worried about a tent encampment that was growing in the Fountain Square area. Well, now the city is forcing that encampment to pack up and leave. Matthew Foltz is in the studio this morning with more on how some community leaders are disagreeing about the approach here to finally find solutions. Matthew, good morning.
Yeah, good morning to you both. Right now, leaders with housing groups tell 13 News they believe the city should have waited to evict these people living in encampments. So here's a refresher on what happened over the last week. So neighbors first told 13 News that they had rocks thrown at their homes, seen drug use, and even had threats made against them by people living in the encampment. This is near Virginia and Leonard Street over in Fountain Square. Now, the city says they plan to close that encampment by August 11th. City leaders say that outreach teams will offer temporary or permanent housing for those who are experiencing homelessness. And 13 News spoke with some housing leaders who believe these people need long-term help instead of just a temporary fix.
That's why there must be some urgency to say we need to get people housed because that freight train is coming. And if we don't house them, many of them are subject to be found incarcerated in jail. Why? Because I'm broke, I'm poor, I don't make enough money to live in an apartment.
Now, 13 News also reached out to the Office of Public Health and Safety. They sent us a statement that says that the encampment does pose a safety risk and threat to everyone around it. So not everyone agrees with how the city is moving forward with this. You'll hear from some residents coming up at 6:30 who believe that the city should take a more permanent approach to really help these people who are experiencing homelessness.
Yeah, just moving them from place to place without giving them real resources to get back on their feet might be a difficult challenge. Matthew, thanks.
The time is 6:09. Happening today, the Indy Department of Metropolitan Development and several partners are taking a major step in new affordable housing. There's a project happening.
Yeah, this is all in an effort to give more people a place to live, as we've talked about the crisis of growing homelessness homeless numbers here in this city. So this will be built near the city's north side. It will be breaking ground today on Central at 29 at 10 o'clock this morning.
So that's a new 4-story development that's being built at 29th Street and Central Avenue. 11 units will be set aside for people emerging from homelessness. The building is meant to serve people and families earning $70,000 or less every year. The construction for this is set to wrap up by next winter. This morning, 83 members of Indiana Task Force are finally back home with their families here at home.
Yeah, as you know, they spent almost 3 weeks away in Texas helping with the deadly flooding there and trying to help put things back together. So now they're sharing their stories from the field.
The team says they spent long days in the heat and humidity, but they were battling treacherous terrain and wanting to help people in their search efforts. They were stationed in Kerr County, just downstream from Camp Mystic. That's where more than 24 campers and counselors were killed.
Everybody knows has seen the news with the Camp Mystic tragedy and all the kids involved in that. You know, we have to mentally get in the right place to go in and do a lot of that work.
During their days in Texas, Task Force 1 crews were assigned different areas to search in and recover those who died, all in an effort to obviously bring closure to families and that community.
Well, now that Task Force 1 is back home with their families, they'll have a brief rest before they finally have to get back at work here at home.
Be able to get back with your loved ones, spend a little time with them. We give them a couple days to kind of get back in the groove of things before they have to report back to work. So it's very encouraging to see everybody show up.
Yeah, well-deserved rest. They've been gone for a while. They deployed back on July 8th, so it brings the total to 20 days that they were out there helping in Texas.
And that was not easy work, we know, so I commend them for being away from their families for that long. Well, this morning we're seeing new video. The moment a group of people stopped a man after he allegedly stabbed 11 people. Chilling words this morning from one of the heroes who put it into the chaos.